Hey guys, so this is Allison coming back to you. I wanted to come back and film this video specifically about food and pregnancy. My last video was more of an intro and then talking a little bit more about what I have been experiencing my first trimester and then through the first or the very last week of my first trimester. So I'm now in my second trimester, almost 15 weeks, so I'll be doing a video to update you guys about that. But first I wanted to talk about a little bit about food. I'm sure I'm not the only person that experiences a lot of these struggles with food. So I have some notes to kind of keep me on track because my last video was way too long. So I'm hoping that this video will be a little bit shorter, a little bit easier to watch, reasonable amount of time. But first I want to talk about my history of food. Throughout my entire life, I've never had really good food eating habits. And so specifically, once I grew up, I realized just how much emotions are related to food for me. So, you know, I went through some trauma when I was in high school, and so food became my companion and not something I needed to survive. So, but I think because I had such bad habits of eating food, I ended up developing intolerances to a lot of foods. So I started to have a lot of trouble with my stomach, just digestive issues, just total GI madness. Once I got into my early 20s, was when I started to notice it the most. And I think it was because stomach aches just became very normal to me. And so I thought that that was normal until I started reading and exploring and realizing like really how much I hated having stomach aches. And how much they really did impede on my life and just things that I wanted to do in a day. So I ended up doing more research and realizing that it's not normal to have a stomach ache every day, every time you eat. So I started to eliminate a lot of things. I started to kind of just play around with different things to see what it could be that was causing the stomach aches. And so what I ended up doing, I went to several doctors, and every doctor was like, you just have, you know, IBS, or you just have this, or you just need to do this. And it was never real helpful. I never really left there feeling like I had reached a conclusion of what was causing it. So first I eliminated dairy, and so that was a big relief, to be honest. Through eliminating dairy alone, I started to see a big change in just the way I felt physically. My stomach aches were completely different. I was still having them, but I was having them a lot less often. And then later on, I discovered that I needed to let go of gluten as well. That was kind of like the last straw when I went to the doctor and I said I eliminated dairy. You know, I'm pretty holistic in the way that I live my life, so I think the only last thing would be to eliminate gluten. And she said, you know, I tested negative for celiac disease, which is a disease I'm going to completely mess up the definition of celiac, so I don't want to even try, but I know that I have several people in my life that have celiac, and they get extremely sick when they eat gluten. It's worse than an intolerance. You know, their body literally cannot digest it. So it causes a lot of problems. It just wreaks havoc on their bodies when they eat it. So I tested negative for that, and I knew that I didn't have quite that severe of a reaction to gluten when I ate. So I ended up just letting go of it and seeing what it did. And it turned out that a lot of my problems went away. Actually, all of my problems went away for the most part. I still have kind of a jacked up GI system just because I can't eat a lot of legumes. I can't eat a lot of things with really high fiber. I just get really terrible stomach aches, just to the point where I just, you know, my body just can't handle real heavy, you know, vitamin-rich foods. So, so that's partially why I continue to have sporadic issues if I do eat those things. I am married to a Mexican man, so he loves his beans, and I love beans too, but it can be hard to not eat them whenever I see delicious beans sitting on the table at a Mexican restaurant. So sometimes I do indulge a few bites, but a few bites will do enough damage that's usually about what I do. So anyways, I stopped eating dairy and I stopped eating gluten. So those were huge pieces, just turning points completely for me and my just my entire health system. I mean, I saw huge differences, just completely different body afterwards than I did before. So I actually started to lose a lot of weight. I started to feel healthier. I started to have energy, and I started to be able to move and do things that I hadn't done before. I had energy to go to yoga, and I started going to yoga more often and taking walks. And I even, I have sporadic times where I would jog and run. So life changed a lot. But now that I'm pregnant, it's definitely thrown a wrench in that specific plan, just because life has changed a lot. Being pregnant, as I'm sure all of you pregnant women can vouch for. It has been very hard to stick to a specific regimen and routine in my eating, because my cravings were just completely just out of left field for the first 3 weeks of, well, not the first 3 weeks, but of the last 3 weeks, I should say. From like week 11 to now I'm almost 15. So, they were just completely nuts. I mean, I haven't eaten fast food and I don't even know how long. I mean, the closest thing to fast food that my husband and I eat is In-N-Out, and we'll go to In-N-Out and get, the protein style, which is wrapped in lettuce. So it's not even really fast food. Well, it is fast food, but it's not horrible fast food. But anyways, it's fried French fries and things like that. But we never go to McDonald's, Burger King, KFC. I mean, most of the time, because I can't eat anything there, and it's very unhealthy. And my husband is also very health conscious. So it just didn't ever make sense for us to go there, and we had no interest in it. But now I went through one entire day where I couldn't stop thinking about McDonald's French fries and like a hot and spicy, which is like, I haven't had that since probably high school, maybe college, but like, I don't crave that. I don't even enjoy it. I don't even remember really enjoying it when I would eat it back in the day. It was just cheap and it was easy and it was close to where we were living. So we would eat there every once in a while, especially in high school. But now it's just, I went through this whole wave of emotion that day of, do I do it, do I not? And decided that I was just going to do it and just take a few bites, enough to just get rid of these thoughts, because cravings during pregnancy are just a totally different ballgame. I have never experienced cravings like this, so it was completely bizarre to crave something to the point where you would do anything for it. And so I decided to go, and I had one of my best friend was cheering me on, of course, because she's like, do what your body tells you to do. Just try it and then you'll be done with it. And it's so true that I had a couple of bites of it and was just completely done and wanted to throw it up. Just felt the need. I was so nauseous immediately that it was just grossed me out after having it, that it did completely eliminate my craving for it. So it worked. But anyways, food has been a huge topic for me as being pregnant. And a huge piece of that is not only because of my intolerances to food, but also because I have really struggled with my weight my whole life. And so I talked in my last video about body image and things like that come up for me. And it has been very, very apparent for me. Just the worry and fear that are instilled in me, just to be unhealthy. I'm just worried for all the health risks that come with being overweight and being pregnant. And so I think I mentioned in my last video that I was not my healthiest weight when I got pregnant. And so I wanted to try to not reverse it, but I wanted to try to just improve my health while I'm pregnant, for the sake of myself and for the sake of my baby. So I didn't listen to that intuition for most of my first trimester, the only thing I could eat was rice and grains, and I don't normally eat any rice and grains unless we got to Thai or some Asian restaurants. We do eat rice, or Mexican restaurants. I love Mexican rice, but we don't eat a lot of carbs in general, and because I don't eat any breads. We don't eat rice on a regular basis. The biggest carb rich food that we eat is potatoes. And I do love sweet potatoes, regular potatoes. So we'll do that. But my first trimester, all I could stand was bland noodles and rice and bread. And so there's the only thing, and crackers, there's the only things that could keep me from not throwing up. And I never would throw those things up. So I only threw up once or twice through all the nausea that I experienced. I really didn't throw up a ton. So, which I'm very lucky. But yeah, so that's partially why I did lose weight, but I didn't feel like I was losing weight, of course, because I was eating such just food that makes you just feel bloated, and I already felt bloated, so it was not a good combo. But so I ended up once I started getting my appetite back, I started to move more into foods that I was able to, could nourish myself with. And so that moved more into, I wanted meats. I couldn't eat chicken my whole first trimester. I could eat it maybe every once in a while, but the smell of it just was really tough for me. So I craved meats and steaks and just really, really rich foods. So I started to get some more GI problems to come back, because not only was I not used to I don't eat a ton of red meat just because it's so rich that it does tend to hurt my stomach. And if I eat it more than once in a couple of weeks, period. But I started to crave red meat, and it could just be because my body was needing more iron. And I'm listening to an audiobook by Dr. Roizen, another doctor. I can't remember the other doctor's name, but it's called I think it's called You and You're Pregnant, or You and Pregnancy, or something like that. And it's been amazing. I'll put in the description box the name of the audiobook, and I know that you can do if you're interested, you can get some free subscriptions, like a trial with Audible through there are other people on YouTube that have codes. I'm sure you could find somebody. The books that I listened to on Audible, or the one book that I listened to on Audible, has actually been really helpful in helping me decide specifically what I need to keep in my regimen and what needs to go. What I've been trying to do is develop more of a routine. So in the mornings, I'll have a green smoothie. I put kale, I'll put orange juice, like a cup of orange juice. I put a whole apple, celery, carrots, really any vegetable that I think would not only not make me want to throw it up, but also just improve my overall just nutrition. Get enough, just trying to pack it with nutrition as much as I can in the morning, so then by the afternoon, throughout the rest of the day, I have energy, and I have it helps so much with just my digestive system. So I've noticed a huge difference in just my overall digestive health. As you guys know, with pregnancy, constipation can be a huge problem because of the high levels of progesterone that's in your system. And so I have been experiencing a little bit of that on and off. So since I've been doing the green smoothies, it's actually been almost non-existent. And so I also notice I have to be a little bit careful with them, because at times it'll be the exact opposite problem. So I have to make sure that I don't overdo it, or don't drink huge green smoothies in the morning. And then also, those days when I'm drinking like a big green smoothie, it's a little bit harder. It's a little bit rougher on my system than when I'm drinking a more reasonable amount. But I also really like to, I get hungry pretty soon after that. Just because they're so packed full of water that a lot of times, you might go to the bathroom and then you'll be starving again. So what I've actually been doing is having just a couple of scrambled eggs. You can do it with, whatever kind of meat that you like in it, or some sort of protein, or just like that. And I've been doing that. So, and having that in addition to my smoothie, usually about half an hour, 45 minutes later. So that's been my breakfast. And then by lunchtime, I've been trying to incorporate snacks. which is harder for me. I'm not used to doing that. So normally I have three decent meals throughout the day, but now it's more of breakfast. I'm trying to incorporate a snack in between. So I have been going for walks around midday when the sun comes out. It depends on the day, really, if I can, but the time of day depends on the day, just because my schedule differs every day. But a lot of times I've been trying to go around noon, so it's not as cold outside. And so I will come back and I'll have, today I had, sometimes I'll have hummus, but today I had just peanut butter, like all natural, no salt added, just straight up peanuts, peanut butter, and or almond butter. I love almond butter too, and an apple or banana or something with it, just some sort of fruit. And then that actually held me over for a solid maybe 10 minutes. I was starving very soon after that, so I was trying to I'll make it hold me over, so I, continue drinking my water, but also drink tons of water. Don't forget to drink tons of water. I struggle with that, but it's something we need to do. But anyways, I'll also incorporate like smaller meals throughout the day, and then I was starving, so I had a salad. So with like grilled chicken and stuff on top of it. So I try to keep grilled chicken in the fridge as much as I can, some sort of protein that's cooked, because then I don't have to put so much thought into what I'm going to eat, because there's already a protein cooked. And so I'm far less likely to have a bowl of something that's not healthy, like cereal or something. I have cereal in the pantry just from back when I was so nauseous. I was able to just munch on like granola and stuff. I normally don't eat that. So, but I still have some, which is dangerous. So I will, if I don't have anything cooked in the fridge and I am starving, a lot of times I'll reach for stuff like that. That's just easy. So keeping cooked meats in your fridge is a huge helper to that problem. And then for dinner, we do usually a protein, a salad, and then some sort of vegetable. I love to cook, so a lot of times I'll do, like roasted vegetables, or we'll put veggies on the grill. We do grill usually once or so a week. My husband is very busy with work, so it's just a matter of whenever he has time to grill for us, because I don't like grilling myself. I actually have no idea how to, and I'm sure it's very simple, but I don't like to try. So yeah, it's just a matter of waiting for, or figuring out what's going to work for that day. But I'm trying to pack as many greens into my diet as possible now, so that if I do end up having a craving, that is definitely less than ideal, because I still do have those, and I have been craving sugars and things that I shouldn't have. I feel a lot less guilty about it when I know that I've packed the rest of my day full of nutrients, versus if I hadn't, and I am starving, or I am starving my body of nutrients and I'm giving it a bunch of junk that I'm craving. So that has been very helpful the last few days, especially with my energy level, I have to say, and just overall emotional well-being. I have very emotional days. As you guys know, pregnancy just heightens all of your emotions. You feel them 10 times more intense than normal. So food has helped me kind of normalize that a little bit and just feel a little bit more level-headed. So those are things that help me. This video is going to be crazy long again, and I'm so sorry, you guys. Hopefully it's helpful. But I will also start looking into doing videos that show a little bit more about our specific foods, maybe a day in the life of food-wise, like a food journal day, and take you along with me, and you can kind of see what I'm cooking, what I'm making, what I'm eating. Even if it's not healthy for me that day, I'll still show it. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any requests or anything that you guys want to see, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks, guys.